Konnichiwa! Welcome back to my pregnancy story in Japan. I hope you guys are well and keeping warm because it's cold. So, let's get back into it. Last time I was telling you guys about my pregnancy announcement for the world. We were going to make an announcement on my husband's birthday. I thought it'd be easier to like have everyone's attention already, because they'd be like, oh, happy birthday, and then we would make an announcement of like, oh, thank you for all the birthday wish from all three of us. It's like a baby announcement, but we weren't able to do that because of my aunt's passing, and so we had to like come up with something else, which was fine. At the time, it was like right in the middle of ginkgo trees, the yellow fan-shaped leaves. They're really pretty. You know, I'm from Texas and we just really don't get fall, so we got all the yellows and all the reds. Our city is full of seasonal type of trees, so it's really nice to see just the amount of fall. And like I said, the ginkgo trees were basically my favorite. It's like the same color as this shirt. Like waiting, I was like, okay, when are they all gonna drop? When are they all gonna drop and be really pretty and be the perfect time to do filming or pictures? But we got lucky. We actually had a local park that was basically had a whole area of ginkgo trees, and it wasn't too crowded. And I just basically just like put on a dress, and he put on like some nice clothes, and we were just like, alright, let's get a tripod and let's go take photos. It was pulling teeth for my husband because he doesn't really like to take photos, versus I love taking photos. So I'm like, I feel cute today, take photos of me. He's like, I gotta go. And like, well, how do you want the photos? Like, why I want the photos like this? And he's like, well, that doesn't make sense. So we're always constantly bickering about like how we want to get film or photos done. But regardless, we got a good shot, or a good shot and a goofy shot. I thought that they were both pretty good, and I posted both of them. And we just posted and said like, April 2022, can't wait for our rainbow baby. I know a lot of people don't know what a rainbow baby is, and they might be thinking I'm being gay about it, but, you know, it's whatever. I just thought that, like, mentioning it, if anyone's paying attention, if anyone needs help or wants to talk about it, and they knew what that term was, that they could come to me if they wanted to. For those that actually don't know, a rainbow baby is a baby you have after a miscarriage, or the loss of a child. So, yeah. Month 5 was pretty rough, I'll give it that. But let's start light and move more not light. Generally, I felt more pregnant, with like anything and everything when it comes to like symptoms and showing. Speaking of which, I wanted to show you that I'm showing. There's Big Bub. So this is of course the time of filming. I'm right at the beginning of the 6th month, so you can compare how far I've changed from the picture I showed at the beginning, for our announcement, versus now. It's like a month of a lot of changes, and most of it's due to hormones. I will say that I was just irritated overall. We'll get to that too. About like how I was talking to a woman who has already had children before, or, you know, just kind of looking for, like, you said you're pregnant, where's your belly kind of thing, and often I would get people saying, oh, you're not even that pregnant, you're not even showing, and that was the most irritating, because I'm like 5 months, what more do you want from me? I was like, I'm definitely pregnant, I've got the kicking, I've got the pictures to show it, you know. my hips hurt because the baby is basically, I've been carrying the baby in my hips, carrying him very, very low, and so I don't have like a big, top belly, and really the only other places that I'm showing is my face. So it was like this constant necessity to prove that I'm pregnant. I was like, no, I'm pregnant. And they're like, well, I don't know, you don't really seem pregnant. Even my mom will be like, yeah, that ain't no belly. And it was like, thanks, Mom, for the support. Yeah. Some of the other things that was just kind of like really hormonal or just feeling very more pregnant is my hair. My hair is just so thick now. I've never had thick hair. I've had, curly, long hair, voluminous hair, but I've never had thick hair. And with the testosterone, it basically is telling my hair to not let it drop. So I'm not shedding like I would normally, and thus it just is thicker. It's just more hair on my head currently. I'll shed most of it after pregnancy, but currently I am so tired of it being so thick and unmanageable. I don't even want to style it, and having natural curly hair, that's a lot of maintenance, and the fact that it's also getting longer, it's like you've got to do something with it, and I'm like, I don't want to do anything with it. So that's fun. Going back to about the how I'm carrying the baby is my hips. My hips are, I feel like I'm constantly my hips are cracking and popping. They're sore when I wake up in the morning. I don't want to lay on my side for too long, even if it's pretty much what I've been doing for the last month. Walking around's fine. Got a little bit of that round ligament pain, but that just kind of comes with it. And I asked the doctor, I was like, yeah, is there anything I can do about that? And he was like, yeah, no. I was like, I've got all this pressure on my hips, and you don't have anything to help me with. They're like, nope, this is just pregnancy. It's like, thanks, doc. My mom has talked about how my hips are wider, obviously giving more room for the baby that I'm carrying. But she continues to tell me about my nose is spreading, which I will say that my face just looks puffy. Like my cheeks are rounder. Of course, I've got a little bit of spreading on my nose. Is slightly wider or puffier than it used to be. Compared to my ears, which has always been tiny. And then she says that my neck is dark, which I'm like, it's not that dark. It looks like the same color as the rest of me. But she's like, I forgot the term. I'll probably have to look it up and put it up here. But specific term that your skin will have patches of melanin and just gets dark. Sometimes on your face, but apparently for me it's on my neck, according to my mother. And it just kind of goes with all these other old wives' tales of I talked to one of my other great aunts, because I've got many great aunts and many great uncles, I've said this before, she was like, yeah, who does your hair? And I was like, I do my hair? I'm in Japan. There's no one who can really, just style my hair. She goes, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't lift your hands above your head. Because, if you raise your hand, that you'll get the baby tied with the umbilical cord. And I was like, well, I've got to wash my hair. I've got to detangle this stuff. So it's not like anyone else can do it for me. And even if I was in the States or someplace where people know how to do black hair, I probably wouldn't go every day or every week to get my hair washed and detangled and styled. So either way, those are specific American or even African American old wives' tale. But I've noticed that the one that bothers me the most here in Japan is the constant necessity for pregnant women to be dressed warmly. My friend who is trying for baby as well has been told that she should dress warmly if she wants to get pregnant. And like, we're talking like end of summer kind of advice. I got flagged by my job. My boss lady was like, yeah, you're dressed nicely, but can you wear more pants and more clothes and look more warm? And I was like, what? I don't understand. I'm tall, right? So I'm wearing this like would normally be full length dress. It's got long sleeves and goes past my knees, and it's like I'm like layered up, so I've got like some more clothes underneath. And she's just like, yeah, you need to wear something underneath this because, you know, you're showing your legs, suggesting that you're not fully covered up, showing that you're not warm, and thus you're not taking care of your baby. And it's this whole thing of like, the baby has to be warm, your belly has to be warm, so thus you have to wear long sleeve everything, long pants, long sleeves, thick shirts, scarves, hats, and whenever you sit, you know, you have a blanket. And it's kind of like a... So the reason why my job specifically asked me to do it was because it's like, if you were to see a pregnant lady in America smoking while being pregnant, right? You're going to be like, wow, she's not taking care of her child at all. She doesn't even care. And whenever a Japanese person sees a pregnant woman who's either very visible pregnant or even has a pregnancy badge, and she's like dressed in like shorts or a short sleeve shirt, or, you know, it's like actually cold like it is now and she's not wearing a scarf or a hat, they're like, she's not taking care of her baby, like she must be crazy. And it's like that same, they see it the same. So my job was more like, you take care of other people's kids, and if they see you not taking care of your own child, they're going to be like, well, how are you taking care of my own? So that was why she made that request specifically. I obliged. I mean, it was beginning to become colder, so I mean, I can basically pretend now. It's pretty cold now, so I don't have to like pretend to like constantly dress myself warmly. But I'm thinking if I was pregnant like in the middle of the summer, this would be pretty irritating because I like to wear shorts, I like to wear crop tops, I like to wear, you know, sandals and like all this other stuff, you know, Texas girl. So I'm like, I don't want to have to like cover up my whole body and be sweaty and hot, just for appearance's sake. So adding to the whole thing of skin, I suppose, is dry skin. My skin is so dry. It's so dry. I'm at the point now, at the, you know, beginning of month 6, where they recommend that you take short showers specifically to prevent your skin from drying out. But even all the way into like the 5th month, it was, you know, as the temperature drops here in Japan, the air gets really dry. It goes from really humid, like 100% humidity in August and September, to like minus humidity, feels like. And you know, you feel it. I remember working before I was pregnant in a school. Of course, during coronavirus, all the windows are open, so it's like icy cold, and just my knuckles were just like cracking and stuff like that. So even though I'm indoors mainly now, I'm still finding that like my face, my shoulders, not so much of my hands, definitely my belly, my side, my back, and my legs, just dry skin. And I've been using the same moisturizers that I mentioned beginning, like I think it was like month 2, or month 3, whenever I mentioned the pregnancy tips video and talked about like trying to like reduce the existence of stretch marks. And out of all the 3, the Johnson & Johnson, the rose hip oil, and the coconut oil, I've basically been using the coconut oil. And I remember talking to my mom, and I was like, hey mom, you know, I'm using, you know, these moisturizers, you know, for this purpose. She goes, you know, nothing's gonna stop you from having stretch marks. And then, I think one time I showed her my belly, and she's like, oh look, you're like an actual baby bump going on. She goes, wait, you don't have any stretch marks. I was like, now she has stretch marks, and I know that they're also hereditary, so I'm still expecting to have some, but it was kind of like she just kind of like shot herself in the foot. And that's also why you have to be careful with the old wives' tales of like, yeah, they can be based off of observation, but they also could have some science to them. And you have to like really listen and see like what they're talking about, what they're trying to tell you to do, and also if it's nonsense, or if it's been debunked. So I guess the last like really trivial thing I want to talk about is like my almost obsession now about how my baby's gonna look. I don't know if this is like just this mid-pregnancy kind of thing, or it's just because we're having interracial baby, or I don't know, but recently I've been introduced to more and more white passing mixed children, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, is my kid gonna come out looking exactly like my husband and having no color, no curls, no, anything? And it's like, having a baby that looks nothing like me. I always considered that it would be a baby that would look nothing like my husband, but I'm also like, what if I have a baby that looks nothing like me? Just blonde hair, blue eyes, pale skin, looks nothing like me. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna feel about it. Obviously I love my husband and I love my baby, but I'm just kind of like, appearances, it's so trivial, but I'm like hoping for a little bit of melanin. just a little bit. So on to the more difficult things about the hormonal changes going on. I just feel more irritable. I'm feeling all of the emotions all at once, strung like I'm a kid myself, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of being so emotional and not being able to control any of it, or even like, not so much to suppress it, but being able to like deal with the emotions. It's like, oh, I'm anxious, and it's like the anxious will just run away with me, and it'll just, not to the point where I've asked my doctor for like medication, but it's just something that like is harder to cope with. And did not help the fact that I had a lot more anxiety factors in my life, specifically the fact of the baby's due date and the fact that we're in the middle of coronavirus. The baby's due April 20th, right? And if you know anything about Japanese culture, you know that April is the month of change. They basically took with the school system, where school ends at the end of March and picks up again at the beginning of April. Excuse me, with all of the sakura, right? And so it's a time of new beginnings for everyone. And that means people move, change jobs, and of course graduate and stuff like that, all at the same time in the same month. So like at the end of March, beginning of April, everyone's changing their lives, and it's pretty hectic, honestly. Kind of like stressful. You want to enjoy like the spring and the new changes of the weather, but you're just like, I don't want to go see anyone, I don't want to talk to nobody. so much going on all at once. And with the added layer for us of having a new baby. Having a new baby and then not being able to, not be Japanese or speak Japanese fluently, to the point where it's like, we basically depend on a lot more people. I want my mom to be here. She set aside, time and money to get flights, but I was looking just the other day at the Omicron variant and how it's like changed the numbers for America. America and what is it, France? Had the big numbers, and just like almost like tripled the highest number that we've had. And I was like, this is ridiculous. And my family's in Texas, so it was Texas and Florida were like the highest areas. And I was like, goodness, like, we don't know yet how deadly it is, But we already have people who don't want to take vaccines, who don't want to wear masks, who don't want to practice social distancing. So we don't even know if those people are just getting it because it's a more contagious strain. But we also don't know how deadly it is and how, like, do you need to go to the hospital? So we were pretty comfortable up until the end of, last month. Going from like, if things are good, we can come and I'll come help you support, a newborn baby, to I don't know if I can leave my house. We didn't know if my mom could even come, honestly, but now it feels like almost like nail in the coffin that like I'm gonna be alone. And I was talking to my mom, I was like, I'm so concerned about, because we're actually planning on moving and my husband's actually changing jobs around the same time, and they're being very helpful and also very stubborn. They're like, we're gonna help you move and we're gonna help you find an apartment, get a visa, but we know you're having your first child, but we're gonna require you to be there at your job, basically for every scheduled hour, basically. And I'm like, you guys are family. You're a family business, and you didn't give us that one thing of just like, we're new parents, let us have a week or a month or something. And it just began to like snowball in this whole thing of like not having anyone that I could depend on to help me out. It's obviously harder now because my aunt's gone. And I was talking to my mom about it. I was like, I knew I was talking to her and I was, reaching out for support, that I wouldn't have her forever. She was very sick. But it's still like, it's really hard to just kind of like depend on yourself and like stand on your own. She was like, it's not that hard. My mom has been standing on her own feet for as long as I've seen her. She makes it look easy. But I'm like a little ball of nerves, so. Sorry about that. It's not so much of like my husband's not being able to support me at all. It's just more of like, this is my first time being pregnant, delivering a baby. And I'm doing it in a country where I can't speak Japanese. My devoted interpreters are perhaps suggesting that they won't even be there at the delivery if like it's inconvenient for them. And like my husband might not even actually be able to attend, the birth of his first son, and not having my mom. So you see that the hormones are still wrecking me now, but it's been just rough emotionally. It wasn't even helpful, the fact that I had like working with first graders who are like all emotion, and I'm just like, I'm so tired of your emotion, or I'm tired of you being misbehaving. I was like, can you just not? And getting more snappy at them. So my last day at that job was like 2 days before Christmas. Just for that same reason of like, I might not be showing, but I'm very pregnant, and like, I don't think I can do my job without like fussing at the kids or complaining constantly, or just, I still feel, I still got a baby that's growing in me. Like, they're like, I was reading the other day, they're like, yeah, your uterus is the size of a soccer ball. I was like, what? Now, that's a pretty big thing, inside of me. So, I might not be showing, quote unquote, but I still have a baby in me, which makes it harder to move around, harder to do things, stuff like that. So, on to some good news, I suppose. Alright, so last thing that we're going to talk about in this video is our mini Babymoon. I wanted to go and have a white Christmas for Christmas. We've been living in Japan for 3 years, and I was like, I want to see some snow. So we're trying to figure out like how do we want to see snow, how do we want to do this. And we were looking at a lot of different options of like travel and sightseeing, and we kind of like nixed like the long term travel and just ended up doing something more local. Not specifically like, oh, it's like 20 minutes away, but some place that we've gone before that's kind of feasible for us. And so we wanted to go to Nikko. It's in Tochigi. It's a set of like, it's like the Nikko is sitting on like 3 mountains mainly, but it's like in a mountain ridge, and it's got like a really cool like mountain road that like people like to go and not drift, but you know, in their fast cars, like pew. They have the world's, not the world's. I want to say the world's. No, definitely not the world's, because I know Thailand's really pretty. Maybe, possibly, Japan's most ornate shrine and temple. What is it? The specific shrine I'm thinking about, but it's really ornate. It's got the dragon gate, which is like really like ornate. It's basically an area whenever Buddhism and Shintoism were having shrines like together before the big separation between the two. There's a lot of history about it. Sorry, I'm history buff. I'm probably just rambling. But it's really pretty. It's got like 3 big golden Buddhas in one temple. It's like a complex of temples and shrines, basically. And you can just see like this really like interesting place. So that's one cool tourist attraction. There's like this really pretty waterfall. There's like monkeys that like hang out during the winter. What else? Oh, yeah, the monkeys actually in Nikko are the same monkeys that come from the legend of see no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil. It's the same 3 monkeys, or that's where the legend comes from. So I thought that was pretty interesting whenever I learned about that. And they have a lot of like ski resorts and stuff like that. And so we booked ourselves for a Christmas evening. So it was like Christmas Eve and then Christmas morning, just one night. But they have an onsen. I was like, let's go ahead and do onsen. It's the first time I've ever done an onsen, but I've also, you know, pregnant. So I was kind of concerned about like, can I do an onsen while being pregnant? And I was trying to look some stuff up online. There just wasn't any information at all. I've seen pregnant women kind of go, but like I didn't know if it was like okay. Somewhere in some part of the Japanese government, they revised their health and safety guidelines about onsen and pregnant women, whereas before they said they didn't want any pregnant women on an onsen because it's slippery. And it was pretty slippery, pretty wet, but they were like, as long as you're cautious enough and careful enough, you can go to an onsen while you're pregnant. It shouldn't harm the baby. Your internal temperature doesn't really actually change. Just as long as you're like aware of like your own health. And I checked with my doctor specifically and was like, hey, is it okay? And he was like, yes, you're Genki, so, you know, you can definitely go. You should go to an onsen. I don't know what it is with Japanese people, like, loving onsen. But he was so excited whenever he was like, you couldn't go to onsen and, like, relax yourself. Go. So, I've got the okay from my doctor. We booked our night stay. They were supposed to have like a Christmas buffet, which was pretty cool. And I guess the sad part was that my husband got sick like 2 days before we went. Cause you know, you work with children, you get sick, like they get sick. And I was fussy at him because I was like, you didn't take any medicine or take your, you know, temperature while you were at work. You definitely didn't slow down whenever you were at work. And you just kind of made yourself more sick. So I was kind of like hounding on him, like, look, you could have taken care of this. or not been as sick. He had a bad cough, not like a bad cough, like a wet, nasty thing, but it was like a every like 5 minutes there was like a little coughing fit. And I was like, if we're going to a hotel in the middle of coronavirus, we don't want to be kicked out or like rejected at the door because you're coughing and thinking that you're sick. Our temperatures were fine, obviously. So even if he was sick, he wasn't spreading anything, which was alright. And like we're on our Babymoon, right? It's like we're supposed to go and have fun, but we can't have fun because you're sick. So let's go home. He was like, no, we're gonna go and see the snow. I was like, I don't even know if they have snow. We're like up one of the mountains right now, and they've got like a little like, the gutters have snow. It's like, I don't see any snow at all. So we went to the concierge and was like, hey, I want to see snow. And she was like, I think I know where you can see some snow. And she was like, there's like a ski resort on the other side of the mountain. It was like an hour just to drive over there from our hotel. So we like, alright, we're gonna take your advice. We checked out and we packed ourselves and drove ourselves around the mountain. It was really a pretty drive because again, like it's just like the really pretty windy road up the mountains, and like it's like Nico, or I think it's the Nico mountain. It's just really big, really pretty, really imposing, you know, like you're in the mountains. And about halfway in, all of a sudden we started seeing like snow-covered trees. And I was like, look. We went from like ice to like snow. I was like, they have snow here. And so we were trying to figure out if like we should stop here and take photos and like play around in the snow, or we should just keep going. And we just kept exploring. He was like, no, we can go to this place that she specifically said, but you know, we're kind of just enjoying the ride on the way there. And sure enough, we found like a nice like empty, because it's like in the middle of the morning on Christmas morning. You know, it's a date holiday here in Japan, so most people like had a date the night before or going to have a date in the evening, so like no one was there. No one was at the hotel really, and no one was really out.
Well, I just am a child.
And I assume that because of the type of like texture of the snow, that it had just snowed that morning. And so we had like a fresh layer of like powder snow on everything. We went by like a frozen lake. We did a little bit of walking around in like the actual ski area. It's like a small park up there, like a state park of some sort. So that was really fun. Well, guess I'll end the video. You guys can see us having fun in the snow for Christmas. I hope that this series is still beneficial for you and you're still learning things and interested in things, and like it's still helpful for you if you're trying to get pregnant, planning to be pregnant, or are pregnant in Japan. And I will see you in the next video. Bye bye!
Oh, I missed it. God dang it.